Gotcha.
A quality of life change to a video game doesn't really have anything to do with the game itself, like the monsters or the weapons. It has more to do with how you interact with the game, right? That would be like the user interface or the buttons. And today I'm going to talk about 10 changes that I would make to the quality of life in this video game if I was a developer for Capcom. Before we begin, I just want to point out real fast that the list is not in any particular order. I'll point out if it's something that I especially would like to see changed. And I would like to hear what you guys think ought to be changed. Starting us out, I'd like to see the Scoutflies no longer capable of hijacking my camera. Maybe it could be an option to toggle it on and off, because I think newer players would still appreciate having it hijacked. They don't have the maps memorized. Like, I've got the maps memorized at this point. So when I'm just trying to go over to the handler for a meal, and now I'm looking over my shoulder trying to control my character like backwards. I really don't like that, and it seems like a really easy fix as well. So I would love to see that be an option that you can toggle off and on. Number 2, it's too competitive to get into an investigation, and they ought to find a way to fix that. Now, this is kind of a complicated problem. I would say the first thing they could do is when you're trying to do a search for an investigation and you fail to get into that investigation, you guys know what I'm talking about. It either tells you, oh, it's too full, it already filled up, or it says fail to join, right? And then you go back to the board and you're going to, try to search for another SOS. Well, they should just store your previous settings. When when the system decides that you failed to get into it, the system should just save whatever your last settings were so that you could quickly research for those precise conditions. Like if you want to do an investigation for Devil Joe, right? You shouldn't have to re-choose those settings every time you fail to get into an investigation for Devil Joe. Super annoying, right? But they could probably go further than that. I have 2 ways to reduce the competition to get into an investigation. The first one, it would be interesting if you could set a predetermined amount of Zenny to give to the host in order to kind of like bid on a position in his investigation. So if somebody puts up an investigation for like 5 tempered rewards, right? And you really want into that one, you really do. I would like to be able to give the host, I don't know, like 100,000 Zenny and just pop right into that. No competition. So that would be an interesting way to incentivize people to gather tracks and get their own investigations. And that should help reduce the overcompetition. That's just one idea. I understand that would change the game a lot. The other idea I had is based more on the system that they already have. Basically, when you get rejected from an investigation, when you fail to join, you'll receive a priority counter. And every time you fail to get into an investigation, that priority counter will go up by 1. Well, let's say you've got an investigation that 6 people try to join. The system will simply pick the top 3 people that have the highest priority that have already stacked up. So in other words, you no longer get stuck in this cycle where you get booted from investigation after investigation, because every time you fail to join, your priority goes up by 1. See what I'm saying? Okay, and so there's my solutions to dealing with the overcompetition with the investigations. A, it should be saving your settings so that you don't have to set them every time you go for a search. And B, there should be a way to actually let players know that they're not going to be booted out of a match 100 times, right? Okay, let's move on. There really needs to be something added to the game that tests for 2 things. Is the player AFK in the investigation, and is the player not dealing any damage to the monster in the investigation? So I've seen this. I believe players are calling it leeching. Basically, somebody will join. They won't do anything useful to help kill the monster, but they get the same rewards as everyone else. That definitely should not be in the game. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? So the game should immediately detect if the player's gone AFK, 2-minute, 3-minute timer, whatever you want, and boot them. The other thing is, if you have a player who's doing nothing but gathering, he's not really helping fight the monster, he can stay in, but he gets no rewards, right? There should be a way to detect how much damage the player has done, and let's say he's done 1/20th of the damage that everyone else dealt. This guy's a leech. He doesn't deserve the rewards. And I don't know if you think that sounds harsh. I guess there's a possibility you have a just a really, really bad player who's also very, very new to the game, and he gives an earnest attempt to help everyone, but he still only deals 1/20th the amount of damage of everyone else. I think that's really unrealistic. I think that a system that checks for some fraction of damage like that and just says, sorry, you didn't do enough, you don't get any rewards, I think that's fair. Come on, 1/20th. So yeah, no more leechers. That is becoming an issue. It wasn't when the game came out, but I definitely feel like it's become a bigger issue since then. Number 4, I would love to have a summonable monster in the training room. I spend a ton of time in there. You've got attacks and ammo types, just special moves that you don't really see the full impact of them on that little pole at the end of the training room. We really need a pole that's on its side in order to do better testing. Or if I had it my way, I would just be able to hit a button and have a monster dropped into the training room. That would be terrific. But maybe that's asking for too much. Who knows? What do you guys think? Number 5. So when you're going in to fill the decorations on your armor, you've got 3 ranks, rank 1, 2, and 3, right? Small, medium, and large decorations. And the problem is when you go to fill one of those in, it will change the order that it shows you the decorations depending on what kind of decoration slot you've chosen. So if I choose a small decoration slot, it starts on the small decorations. Start on the medium decoration slot, it shows you the medium decorations. I hate that. I wish it would just order the decorations in one permanent order, whether it's equipped or not, right? If it's equipped, just line it up next to one that's not equipped. So that it goes, like Vitality, this one's free, Vitality, this one's equipped. But they're right next to each other. It's not confusing. You know exactly how many of them you have. So yeah, the order of the decorations is just atrocious when you're trying to fill in the armor. Sometimes I'll go in to fill in a medium slot for my armor, and I need a medium decoration. And yeah, so it just reorders everything. And it's like, why would they do this? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. It's very frustrating, and it would be a very simple fix for them. Number 6, I would love to be able to change my bowgun mods and my Kinsects right from the item box. I don't understand why they force you to go all the way over to the armory, the workshop, and talk to the guy. He always has a bunch to say. I never read it. And then finally I can change my Kinsects or my bowgun mods. This is especially annoying because I like to try out different variations, especially with the bowgun mods. I like to try them out from the training room. And it's so bad. You see, I don't like running between the training room and the workshop because that requires a load screen to do that. So what I end up doing is I put in different combinations of bowgun mods and actually save them to my loadouts just so that I can access those different combinations while I'm already in the training room. Well, I wouldn't have to do all that extra work if you could just put on a bowgun mod from the item box, because as you know, there is an item box in the training room. It's a really simple thing. It doesn't seem like they need to separate them, but I don't know. Maybe maybe it has something to do with the code. I honestly don't know, but I would like to see that changed. Number 7, and this one's kind of controversial. I would like them to change it so that if a flying monster gets mounted, he cannot be knocked out of the air with a flash pod. You guys, there's an easy way to jump off of the monster if you wanted to. So if your teammate mounts the monster, he can jump off anytime he wants. He wants to be on the monster, and he wants to knock the monster out of the air. You're just trying to show him like, oh, well, I'm so good at the game that I can use a flash pod on a flying monster who's been mounted so that we can get back to doing that. That's the argument. The argument, of course, is that mathematically, you having the monster up in the air flying around is inefficient. But you know what? I don't know if I'm convinced of that entirely, especially if you have somebody on your team using like sticky ammo or slice ammo, or 2 people on your team doing something like that, right? They're able to attack the monster from the air because they're using a ranged weapon. Then if you're like a melee character, just sharpen your weapon, do whatever it is you need to do so that when the monster lands and it's incapacitated, you can all wail on its head. And by the way, when it becomes incapacitated, you get a longer amount of time to attack it, so that kind of makes up for the time lost while the monster's in the air. And I suppose the other thing they should do then, if they're going to make it immune to flash pods while it's up in the air like that, the other thing they should do is increase the amount of time that the monster will be incapacitated so that it really is worth it. If people are going to make arguments like, well, it's not worth it to mount a flying monster because the DPS from the team drops to 0, I totally understand that concept, you know, the multiplicity of the damage of your team dropping to 0, right? I totally understand that. So all the devs have to do is increase the amount of time you're allowed to attack the monster at the end of the mounting minigame, if you want to call it that, right? So I really think that that would be appropriate. I'm super tired of seeing people shoot monsters out of the sky after they've been mounted. I just think it's kind of selfish, guys. It's a game, guys. What are you going to shave, like 20 seconds off of the fight? Come on. If you've got flash pods, flash the monster before he's been mounted, right? Just keep the monster flash. You're just saving it so that you can shoot somebody from mounting it, and it's just, So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, and tell me your opinion on the issue as well. Number 8, when joining an investigation or starting an investigation, you no longer land in the middle of the map. I get it. I get the idea of it. I believe the developers wanted to add some spontaneity to the beginning of your investigation, some realism, right? Kind of reminds me, though, of Super Smash Bros. Brawl tripping. Nobody liked tripping, right? You just would randomly trip, and it would like ruin the match. Nobody liked it at all. Why do I need to land in the middle of the map? Is it because I'm going to go pick up some mushrooms that I otherwise wouldn't have ran by? I can tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to open up my map, and I'm just going to teleport to the camp that I originally intended to go to anyways. So all that's really happened is now I've wasted time having to open my map and go, oh, there's the camp I want, and flying over there. Literally no reason to be dropped off in the middle of the map. Maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it is something they could just get rid of. There's just no point to it. I don't get it. Number 9, and this one's kind of important to me as well. If players leave or get booted late in the game, I would like to see their palico left behind to help defeat the monster. If they don't want to do that, if that's too complicated, then the monster's difficulty really needs to be readjusted to be easier because there's fewer people fighting this monster. And the reason I say this, it wouldn't be such a big deal, except investigations are a limited thing. So if you've got a valuable investigation, like let's say you've got, I don't know, like Tempered Teostra, and he's going to drop 5 tempered rewards. That's a lot, right? And then you join, and everyone joins, and some sort of error connection occurs. Everyone gets booted, right? And by the way, everybody has also been sent to their own worlds with the version of this investigation by themselves. There's all kinds of things that Capcom can do to improve the outcome of these situations for these players, like allow them to fire an SOS flare, right? That would be nice. Or if you're going to have to solo this monster, he shouldn't be a monster who's been upscaled for 4 people. It just doesn't seem right. All right, and for number 10, this is a smaller one because I figured, I don't know how many of you guys will actually reach the end of this video, so I didn't save the best for last in this case. Number 10, I would love to see them get rid of that annoying icon that pops up on the left side of your screen when you've received a guild card. You know, I get these guild cards all the time. I don't want to accept one every single time I get a guild card. I don't want to open up my menu and go accept guild card, right? It's just too much tedium. But I don't want to see that icon floating there just because I haven't received the guild card. So this is a fairly easy change. I think probably what they should do is if you ignore the guild card, it should kind of disappear on its own, kind of like when it tells you, hey, you have items to harvest, or hey, the safari has returned, right? I really feel like it should just show you you have something and then it should fade. Really simple. That's my number 10 issue. I feel like they could fix it in the next update easy. Okay, that concludes my top 10 list for quality of life changes I'd like to see in Monster Hunter World. If you guys enjoyed the list, let me know. Let me know what changes you guys would like to make. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
I'm doing so awesome on my own. Like, right now, I found this can of beans.